This week on Cageside Seats, the podcast, we're talking NXT Stand and Deliver results and the craziness and opulence that was, and the stupendousness that was WrestleMania Night 1.
Welcome to Cageside Seats, the podcast. We don't have a good name, but we do have good opinions. I'm your host, Stella Cheeks, and with me, as always, is Marcus Benjamin.
What's up, Stella? And what's up, wrestling fans? It was, especially those of you in Dallas. Good morning to you.
Good morning to everyone. I mean, this will drop sometime in the afternoon, but we are up early to talk about wrestling after staying up late, watching and writing about wrestling. I woke up this morning and my last tweet had a big misspelling in it, and I was like, you know what? I was tired.
It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter.
I spelled WrestleMania wrong. You know what? Leave me alone.
I mean, look, they spelled Andre the Giant's name wrong.
Andrew the Giant?
Andrew the Giant. So it's okay. You're fine. You're in good company, man.
Yeah, look, it's basically impossible to proofread your own stuff. So
yeah. I spelled together wrong in the in NXT Stand and Deliver recap.
You have to remember to get her
the
old MTV.
Well, I didn't even do that. I had it was like Gother. I was like, what? So I just missed the T and the okay. All right, fine, whatever.
But we've drunk our coffee. We are finding the energy, and we are ready to talk about day one of WrestleMania, which included NXT Stand and Deliver bright and early, and night one of WrestleMania. So before we hop into it, we're just going to do a match by match breakdown and fold in all the delicious rumors as we go. But before we jump into it, how are you feeling? What are your overall thoughts?
So I thought Stand and Deliver delivered, pun intended, and I was very, very, very happy with WrestleMania Night 1. Night 2 has a lot to live up to. And the funny thing about it is we in our office, we were looking at the card for Night 1 and just being like, oh man.
Yeah.
This is
you look at a card with Logan Paul and you go, ugh. And then you watch a Logan Paul match and you're like, am I wrong?
Right. It was just, I remember those initial thoughts of, man, this is going to be a long night. And then it was like, wow, this is really dope. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And just, it was a good day. I'm not going to, we'll get into the NXT part, but I will say that I was pleasantly surprised with how NXT started their show.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, that was the right move.
Absolutely. And it also didn't, for how much I specifically, I'll call myself out, complained about it, it actually was okay to have two shows in a day. There was enough room in between to you have a snack, get some water, rehydrate.
In my case, take a 2-hour nap and then, get up and do the whole thing again. Yeah, it was fine. And I think funny enough, I think it probably would have been harder on us if we were in Dallas's time zone.
Yeah.
So if that thing really started at, well, for them, it started at 1 for me, 12 for you, so 11 for them. If this was 11 o'clock in the morning, yo.
I mean, people got there right as it started. When the pre-show kicked off, even Gino was like, no one is here.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, because it's when Gino said that it was 10 o'clock in the morning, of course nobody's there. They're still getting up.
Especially because the Hall of Fame went very late because we all were subjected to an Undertaker TED Talk. I will just hit on the Hall of Fame really quick. Overall, I enjoy the Hall of Fame, mostly because I get to write my favorite article of the year, which is look at these wrestlers and how dumb they are and the clothing choices that they make. Except for, I will say, I actually struggled this year finding worst of because everybody pretty much looked really good. And also they cut the red carpet, which really made my life very hard. But I love the Hall of Fame. I love the pomp and circumstance. I do love people getting the recognition that they deserve. We talked a lot about Vader. I loved the Steiners' chaotic but controlled. Controlled for them. I had a very weird reaction to Braun Breaker coming out in his suit. I immediately felt like Batman, and I was like, do I adopt him? Is he a little baby that needs to be protected? Why do I feel very maternal over Braun Breaker? All he's doing is wearing a regular suit. I felt like he was going to prom, and I wanted to like pinch his cheeks and be like, I'm so proud of you.
So you didn't want to train him to be a weapon and also be your
I guess I feel like Alfred. I want to protect him.
You're right. Like, you didn't want to train him to be a weapon and also be your bulletproof shield while you're out in the field?
We kept calling him my Jason Todd. It's like, Braun Breaker's my Jason Todd.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. When Bruce finally said, you know what? I'm going to do it right this time.
Yeah. That's anyways. Yeah. But then, Taker's Taker. A lot of people love him. I have nostalgia for him. I love him. I joke all the time. Kane is better than Undertaker. That's my personal opinion.
Mr. Mayor. Remember that.
Mr. Mayor.
He wants
I'm
to be
sorry.
called Mr. Mayor.
And I get that he has had one of the most important careers in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But we did not need an hour-long TED Talk, my friends. It was a lot. He had a little microphone. I swear to God, he was practicing for motivational speaking because he's like, I'm retired now, and I bet you I could clean up money tricking corporate America into giving me money to talk about my mind steps or whatever.
Isn't he a real estate agent? Like, doesn't he do
every
real
wrestler is a real estate agent on the side? Let's be real.
Yeah, you're right. So like, I can see him like, this is how he gets his deals. Like, this is what he does. Like, he just goes around and has a little microphone and he says, "Hey, wouldn't you like to buy this house today?" And I can see it. Like, it makes sense. Like, all that made sense. And of course, watching the highlights of his TED Talk, his hour-long TED Talk, WWE only wants you to know he shouted out Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Kane. That's it. That's all. That's the only.
Well, he talked extensively about The Godfather.
I know he did. Like, I know he spoke extensively about these other connections that he has, but they want you to know it's really about Shawn Michaels and Triple H and Kane, because it's always about them.
You're like, it's always just about Shawn Michaels.
It's always about Shawn Michaels with me. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's why I'm wearing red today, because it's always about the Heartbreak Kid. Yes, so the Undertaker and I are in agreement on that. It's always about Shawn Michaels.
Needless to say, it was a long night, Friday night. So to get up and go to NXT was probably a little bit of a struggle. But like you said, pun fully intended, Stand and Deliver delivered. Yeah. It was a fun show.
And I don't know if the audience saw it, but we got a Nikita Lyons video package.
So your wild prediction was true. All right, let's break it down card by card. So on the kickoff show, it was the tag team match for the NXT Women's title. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai, aka Team Bestie, versus Toxic Attraction, Gigi Dolan, and the other one.
JCJ. I did not predict this finish. I really thought they were going to go with Toxic Attraction getting the win, and then we were going to get this story of how Dakota and Raquel are, they're figuring it out. They're really getting back in their groove again. But the match was like, no, they got it. They're good.
Because they had a really bad falling out. So it was like, we can't just get back together. That's not how friendship works. Except for it kind of is how friendship works. You have a big fight. You go into your separate corners for a long time. And then when you make eye contact again, you're like, that was dumb. Let's just be friends again.
Right. Because like, why are we mad again? Dude, I don't even remember. All right, well, then this is stupid. So that's exactly what they did. And it was really, it was a good match.
It was fun.
It was exactly the match they needed for a kickoff show to really bring that crowd alive. And to be honest, it was always going to be a kickoff show because this match just came out of the blue.
It came out of nowhere. And also, I really appreciate, comparatively, the NXT women's division. While there are always in any tag division partnerships that are just thrown together, like you two aren't doing anything, just go be a tag team. The NXT women's tag division does have more actual tag teams. And while Dakota and Raquel are good on their own, they were great as a tag team, and they were tag team for a while. And Raquel's not in the title scene anymore. Dakota wasn't in any title scene. Her friendship with Wendy Chu was fun. And I like that Wendy Chu got the spot. She was like, I'm still here. I got knocked out. And then I took a nap because like, I'm not going to look like a horse in a mouth. I'm going to take a nap, but I'm here to help. Like, it might be fun if they have like a little chaotic, like stable. And I just thought it wasn't amazing, but it got the job done and it was fun. And the finish was surprising. I think most people were surprised that Raquel and Dakota are the tag champs again.
And to the point about Wendy Choo, it will be interesting to see if they do a whole, hey, with Dakota being like the middle of, hey, here's
Middle
my
child.
friend Wendy, and here's my friend Raquel. You two can be pals now, right? And then there's this instant opposite, like odd couple thing with
Yeah.
Raquel and Wendy, because
And
they are
Raquel
two
can be pretty
polar
funny.
opposites. Yeah, she can. She can. So it gives her opportunity to do comedy. They get to defend these titles. It gives Dakota an opportunity to do more with her character. Meanwhile, Toxic Attraction is clearly going to go after Wendy. So Wendy's
Right.
going to need some sort of backup bodyguard, something. Who better
So we
than Big Mommy
have,
Cole?
a trio here and a trio with Toxic
Uh-huh.
Attraction. So we have a lot of stuff
Uh-huh.
set up because, we'll get to it, but like Mandy still has the belt, so there's a lot to work with in these things.
And how does Mandy feel about her girls losing? That's what
I
I
know.
want to know.
I wanna know too.
Mm,
All right,
mm.
so it opens with the Fatal 5-Way ladder match for the North American Championship with Carmelo Hayes defending, Trick Williams on the outside, Santos Escobar with his boys on the outside, and girl, don't
And
wanna
Elektra Lopez, yes.
never ever forget Elektra Lopez.
Mm.
Solo Sikoa, Grayson Waller with Sanga on the outside, and Cameron Grimes just flying solo.
So, first
Cameron
of
Grimes
all,
won.
Cameron Grimes won. And the funny thing about it is they told us Cameron Grimes was going to win, and we were all just
Yeah.
like, he's not going to win, because
Yeah.
they're telling us he's going to win.
Yeah,
But he won.
exactly.
And before we get to this, I want to say this was prior to a match that we will talk about later, this was my match of the entire thing.
It's just smart to open with a ladder match. Like, when you have a ladder
Yes.
match on the show, it is the best opener. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you would think a ladder match with the chaos and the, big spots would be a great finisher, and it could be, but there's almost always like a bigger belt on the line. Like, nobody
Mm-hmm.
ever really is like, let's do the main championship as a ladder match, because
Mm-hmm.
it's usually like a big guy like Brock, and I don't want to see Brock jump off a
No,
ladder. That sounds
and no.
terrifying to me in
And
a not
Brock
fun
doesn't
way.
want to jump off a ladder. No. Mm-mm.
So you usually see like a mid-card belt, and like it is smart to put a mid-card belt first, but also ladder matches just 9 times out of 10 are chaotic and fun and will bring the audience into the pay-per-view immediately. Ladder matches
Mm-hmm.
in the first slot, just like the smart choice. It just is as a booker. And this was
And
also the smart choice.
yeah, and it was incredible. Like, props to all of them. Specifically, I want to shout out Trick Williams and Santos Escobar. I thought they were the two MVPs. Trick Williams, because he anything they ask Trick to do, he does it. He gives 110%. He doesn't do half ass. He's whole ass all the time.
Yeah.
And
Whole ass Trick Williams.
he sells everything. Like when he when he thought about climbing the ladder to get the belt for Carmelo, and he had this look of fear because he's afraid of heights.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And then
His
when he
facial
got tossed off
expressions, chef kiss.
right, brilliant. And then Santos Escobar just showed out. Like, he brought that luchador flavor to this match that was needed.
Mhm.
He was doing crazy stuff. I mean, just Hurricane Rana's off of ladders and then landing on his feet from the Hurricane like a superhero.
I think
That
sometimes people forget that Santos Escobar was a pretty famous luchador before he came
mm-hmm,
to NXT. Like, he
mm-hmm,
is a top tier talent, and
mm-hmm,
he in every match he's ever been in NXT, he's like done an incredible job. Like,
mm-hmm.
he Carmelo never misses, but Santos Escobar also never misses.
You know who does miss? Grayson Waller.
Oof.
With whew,
Well, here's the thing.
again,
That spot should not have been planned. That was a dangerous spot for no reason.
yes.
It was a moment where I was like, maybe Randy Orton is right. Maybe
Yeah,
these
maybe they don't know how to protect
children are
themselves. Yeah.
insane.
Right, because it was really, I don't know.
He jumped
Again,
from
props.
very high and
Yes.
just like bodily fell through 2 ladders, probably
Yes.
broke his arm. His arm was in a sling later that night.
Yeah.
And kudos to him. He made like a joke about it on Twitter and said, like I said, I wanted to go viral. Like,
Mm.
kudos to him for running with it. But like, I don't know what went wrong with that spot. If Carmelo Hayes was supposed to stay on the ladder, like, it was
I don't think he was
nasty.
supposed to, because
And
yeah.
Trick Williams' face
Yes,
when he
both
was
of
just like
both
horrified.
of
I was like, yes, Trick, you are all of us.
both of them looked like they saw a ghost. Like, even Carmelo looked like, dude, I was gonna die. Like, that's the look Carmelo had in his face of,
I was gonna die, and also,
yeah.
did we just see somebody die?
Yeah, exactly. And Cameron Grimes, props to him. Again, it was a great story they told. He did it for his dad. My one question, you and I mentioned this in our predictions. Where does Carmelo go now?
Yeah.
Like,
If Braun Breaker is not the NXT champion, I mean, I wrote
Mhm.
that in my preview. I was like, do I want to see Carmelo Hayes challenge for the main title? Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen considering how I think this finish is going. But the finish went a different way. And do I want to see Carmelo Hayes and Dolph Ziggler fight? Oh, hell yes.
I
So
agree.
I think he moves to the title picture. Who knows what they do with
Yeah,
Braun? I still kind of think that they probably call him up sooner rather than later.
I think we'll see Braun on Monday.
Yeah.
I don't. They want him up there. It's obvious they want him up there.
Do you think that now that they're on good terms with the Steiners, that when they bring him up to Raw, they call him Braun Steiner?
That would be cool, but I think they've invested too much in Braun Breaker at this point, just from a merchandising standpoint.
Well, they invested like literal years in Pete Dunne, and his name is Butch now. So,
but did Pete Dunne have merch?
Yes, he has.
Oh, he did. That's unfortunate. Well, you're right. It might be. You know what? Maybe they scrap the entire Braun thing and just say, you know what? He's Rick Steiner again. Maybe they just do that. Yeah. Maybe they just do that. Whatever.
Yeah, I'm excited. I like Cameron Grimes. He's a good mid-carder. He had, his face turned. It was fun to see him on the ladder to the moon. Like, that's great. I just am more curious to see what they do with Carmelo Hayes.
Which is how I felt. And I felt bad about that writing in my recap, because my recap was mostly about, so what happens to Carmelo now? As opposed to just completely ignoring the guy who's now the champion.
Not about you.
Yeah, dude. Like that match. While that match was your story, it was also the story of the end of Carmelo's reign. And now where does he go? So sorry, bro, but I'm sure he's going to do great.
He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Next was the triple threat tag match for the NXT Tag Team Championships with
No. It was Tommaso.
Oh, you're right. I jumped ahead.
Yeah. Let's do that. But funny enough, I don't think this match should have been here. So I don't think Tommaso.
Brain auto-corrected and was like, it couldn't have been next. So next was a singles match, Tony D'Angelo with AJ Galante, who is like a boxing guy. I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't know either. Yeah.
Defeated against Tommaso Ciampa in his last match in NXT. Speaking of somebody who won, but this match wasn't about them.
Right.
Tony D'Angelo won.
Yeah.
But it ain't about you, baby.
Nah, it's not, bro. Like, again, good for you. The match was fine. It was one of those things that, like, it was fine. It suffered from where it was.
It also suffered because Tommaso Ciampa is the type of wrestler he is, who is established and has had some of the best matches in NXT's history. And Tony D'Angelo is a young talent and can't wrestle at the level that we've come to expect for Tommaso. It's not that it was a bad match. It's not that Tommaso and Tony didn't have chemistry, blah, blah, blah. But like, we've come to expect a lot for Tommaso Ciampa in NXT, and Tony D'Angelo was never going to be able to hit that bar.
No, not at this point in his career. No, and definitely not for the time they were allotted. They weren't given a lot of time. And Tommaso,
it was only 13 minutes and 11 seconds, according to this Wikipedia article that I'm looking at.
I thought you were going to say according to Kane, because Kane is like Wikipedia.
Yeah, we can talk about it. It was Kane. Kane did it.
Yeah. So it was fine, like you said. It was definitely Tommaso's greatest hits.
Yeah,
I love
the mat spot.
And that's where I was going. See, I love the story the match told more so than the match itself. The story of Tommaso sort of bringing out his greatest hits and then getting hoisted in his own petard. Like, he famously became a villain using that mat spot, and now that was his exit. And I think that is very poetic. The match itself, again, fine. And Triple H coming out at the end when Tommaso said his goodbyes, that was really cool. Yeah, that was really cool. And it also felt like a culmination in the end of everything that Triple H built.
It didn't just feel like the end of Tommaso in NXT. It felt like the end of the Triple H era in NXT.
Exactly. Right. So saying goodbye, Tommaso was the last vestige of that. So saying goodbye to him with Triple H there was saying goodbye to both of them, especially because obviously we know Triple H isn't wrestling anymore, thank God, based on his heart condition.
Yeah, thank God, because of his health, not because
not because it was but just like, dude, you made the right decision. Good. You should not be doing this ever again. but we don't know what's going to happen to him from an executive standpoint. Like, he obviously has his job, but we don't know what his talent relations job entails anymore if he's not manning NXT on a day-to-day basis. And who knows how long he's going to be okay with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
TBD on that.
Yeah.
Okay, now was the triple threat tag match for the NXT Tag Team Championship with Imperium versus the Creed Brothers versus MSK. MSK won that match, which I was actually really shocked by. I really thought it was going to be the Creed Brothers.
I didn't pick the Creed Brothers because they already have their they got their thing already. They got to figure out who jumped them. So that's that, and the person who jumped them was supposed to be at Stand and Deliver. So I don't know.
I kind of forgot about that whole storyline because I thought it was boring.
Well, maybe they forgot too, which is why they didn't show up even after saying they would. But that match was basically just like a car wreck, and not in a bad way. I mean, it was just hey, we're just gonna fight.
MSK, who are like, I mean this in the best way, spot machines, high flyers, doing crazy stuff. And then you have the Creed Brothers, who are just like big, beefy boys who love to wrestle. And then you have Imperium, which are kind of a good mix of both. They're more like mat wrestlers, technical wrestlers, that very European style. So you have these like really 3 distinct wrestling styles, 3 very good teams, 3 teams that are actual tag teams, not just like random people thrown together. I mean, that's a recipe for a great match.
Yep, and that's what it was. And shout out to one of the Creed brothers for the ridiculous cannonball off the top rope.
I had so much fun with that. I was like, cannonball! Like, I love, honestly, my favorite moves in wrestling are the simplest moves. I love a discus clothesline. Yes. I love like a spine buster. I love like sling blade. I love a cannonball. I like the simple, really brutal, effective ones. And that was fun as hell.
And they're more brutal when they're carried out by big men.
Yeah.
And that is a big boy coming at you.
I mean, nobody had a better discus clothesline than Brody. Why can't I think of his last name?
Brody Lee.
Brody Lee. Nobody had a better discus clothesline than Brody Lee. Like, he was just a big dude that wrecked you with an arm. Like, it was dope as hell.
And before that, it was Bradshaw. Like, Bradshaw was the same way. Like, when he was... Before he was JBL.
But he didn't do like a fun spin. He just like...
No, it wasn't a spin, but he just had that lariat. Just
the discus part is the good part. Marcus.
That's fair, but people...
It's the flourish. It's the complicated arm drag. One of my best friends, his favorite move in all of wrestling is when it's just an arm drag, but there's like a big jump and a flip, and like, but at the end it's just an arm drag. And he's like, "Oh, Chef Kiss, I love a ridiculously complicated arm drag. It's the best move in wrestling."
See, my favorite move as a kid was a power bomb because of the name, and then just because of the people I saw do it. Sid, Diesel, specifically Sid and Diesel. Like, we're like, oh man, that's a power bomb.
It's like, I'm so big and strong that I just picked you up and threw you down like trash. It's a good move.
Right. It's just crazy. But again, MSK, they've had this year-long story of getting back to the mountaintop, reclaiming these titles. They went through hell to get there.
They went on a road trip.
They went on a road trip. They got some paraphernalia with Riddle. They got to celebrate with Riddle, even though Randy Orton didn't want them to. They did the whole thing. They got accused of beating up the Creed brothers. All that. They got booed in the Performance Center for reasons. Now they're the champs again, and that tag division is effectively reset. So we will see what happens with the Creed brothers and their stuff. I know Imperium was going to want their titles back, especially.
They should honestly rename Imperium at this point. They took away their names. They took away their fun music. It's just like,
just name them name them Gunther and Crew. Just do that, like Gunther and Crew, or Gunther and the Boys, or just name them Gunther. That's it. Just name them Gunther.
They're all named Gunther.
They're all named Gunther, right?
Gunther 1, Gunther 2, Gunther Prime, Gunther the 2nd, and Gunther the 3rd.
Yeah, just do that. That makes more sense. Music sucks, by the way.
Okay. It sucks so hard. Like, it's not like they had to pay rights. It's literally like classical music. It's free. It's free.
Right. And it made so much sense with how they conducted business and how they handled themselves. And WWE was just like, no, we need to own everything.
Disgusting.
Okay, fine.
The next match was a fatal 4-way for the NXT Women's Championship. Mandy Rose versus Cora Jade versus Io Shirai versus Kaylee Ray. First of all, I just want to shout out, as somebody who loves presentation and loves gear, everybody in this match looked dope. Kaylee Ray had a sheath for her baseball bat, drew wishes. Cora Jade had a bunch of skateboarders and looked like she rolled out of a Van store in a good way. I actually love that Cora Jade can't fucking wrestle to save her, or can't skateboard to save her life.
Oh, no,
I think it's actually quite adorable. She's like, I'm a very good wrestler and I look like I could be a skater, but also like, whatever.
I was worried about her on that skating board. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to fall.
I think it's charming.
Yeah. It's charming, yes, but it's also worrying because I don't want her to fall. That's all it is. Just like, please don't fall. Please don't fall. You're on national TV. Please don't fall. Okay, good. She did. Good. She made it. Cool.
It also makes her seem like way younger than she is. Like, I'm just a 12-year-old who's learning how to skateboard.
And yeah, well, that makes sense, especially with the Vans hookup and all that. Yeah. Well, what about your girl?
We're talking about, okay, I was like, there are 2 other girls in this match. Io always looks incredible. Like, come on,
well, yeah. Like Io always looks good. She always knows how to present herself.
Mandy comes out all the time, and everybody in our Slack is like, she looks amazing. I'm like, here are my notes why I don't like this gear. I don't like this. Here are my notes. I thought she looked great. I loved Toxic Attraction's choice to go highlighter yellow. I don't know why. I was like, this is working for me. I like the neon. I like everything that's going on. I loved the high ponytail. I thought she looked awesome. And for somebody who shits on Toxic Attraction endlessly, and it's not because I don't like them, except for, that one.
Right, except for Jason. Right, yes.
It's not, I love Priscilla Kelly. Or Gigi Dolan. In between Stand and Deliver and Mania, we watched an old Rise show with Priscilla Kelly on it. I love her. I've always loved her. I like Mandy Rose. I like the idea of Toxic Attraction. I'm not going to rehash it because I talk about it every week. But having Toxic Attraction lose the tag matches in the way that they did, and the way that this match played out, and their presentation as a stable, I was happy that Mandy won. I wanted Kaylee Ray to win because I think that she just came off of her forever streak in NXT. What is Kaylee Ray gonna do in NXT? She's already kind of been moved around a lot. We got to figure out something to do with Kaylee Ray. But I liked how she won. I liked that it was Io and Kaylee Ray beating up Cora, and then Mandy swooped in for the win. That's a great heel move.
That's how she always wins. Yeah.
Mandy did a good job. Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai are some of the best women's wrestlers that exist. Cora Jade, for being as young as she is a really good wrestler. And Mandy's a good wrestler, but she's never been the best wrestler. And Mandy held her own. She looked like she belonged. And when she won, it made sense storyline. It made sense in the match. And because Dakota and Raquel have the tag titles, and who knows? We haven't watched NXT this week, but I don't feel like this oppressing weight of, Toxic Attraction is in everything. And it is the main everything. And I'm glad that the titles have been separated, and now maybe I'll be able to enjoy Mandy's title run a little bit more. Personally.
And to your point about the way she won, which is what I love the most, that's how that's the story of her reign. The story of her reign is basically, I'm going to be the smartest wrestler in this building because you're going to constantly pit me against people who have issues with each other, and they also have issues with me.
Also, they're going to underestimate me because I'm presenting myself as this super hot, faction leader.
Right. Rather than they're going to think I'm dumb rather than thinking that I'm really, really fucking smart and that I know what I'm doing and I know how to manipulate and play the game of chess better than any of you. And she always picks her moments. She picks her moments better than anyone. And that's what I love about her. It's to me, being a good wrestler isn't just about knowing how to hit the moves, knowing how to hit your spots, and being fluid and all that. It's also about knowing what works for your character. And Mandy understands her character really, really well. And she knows how to merge that with what she does in the ring so that everything feels like a natural extension. The way she won that match was a natural extension of that character who, like I said, manipulates everyone, always picks her spots, and realizes, I may not know how to out-wrestle Kaylee Ray and Io Shirai, but I don't have to know how to out-wrestle them to beat them. I just have to outlast them. And that's what she does. She's a cockroach. And that's what you want from your heels. She is one of the true heel wrestlers in WWE. Yes, there are plenty of heels in WWE, but she's one of the only ones who actually does heel shit.
Yeah.
And
does it effectively.
Right. And does it effectively and doesn't have to be well, I need to pick up the clean victory. She didn't want a clean victory. She just wants to win.
Yeah.
She didn't care about that. Like, that's what a heel is supposed to do. They don't care about how they win.
Right.
They just want to get out
the
with the
record
title.
doesn't say won because of shenanigans or won because she, was paying attention and stole the victory. No, it just says won.
Right. And we'll get to this later, but Becky also does that. Like they get, this is the, and we'll get to this too. Dolph, same way. They understand the bad guys, the bad women are supposed to be bad, and they're not supposed to always want to, quote unquote, steal the show. They're just supposed to get out of the show with the title that they came with.
I feel like we've talked about like what makes a good heel. And I feel like for me, there are two good versions of being a heel. The like, I'm actually bad and I'm going to do bad stuff. And then the like heel that speaks like true things, but is just like doing it in a shitty way. And those are the most effective. Like Kevin Owens, a lot of times, aside from all of the Stone Cold stuff, and like, but Kevin Owens when he's a heel does it. Sammy when he's a heel does it. Daniel Bryan,
the new Daniel
Danielson.
Bryan, the new Daniel Bryan did it, and Bryan Danielson does it now, and it's effective. Like it works.
But it's also nice to just see bad people being bad.
Right. It's nice to not have me be morally conflicted. Like I'm never morally conflicted when Mandy's speaking. I'm just like, she's so full of shit, and whatever. Like, like I'm never being like, she has a point. No, she's full of shit.
Yeah, I'm excited for the second. I'm dubbing this the second half of Mandy's run. I'm excited for this in a way that I wasn't before.
Same, especially like you said, without tag titles now. Now what? Yeah.
Do you think Io Shirai gets called up to the main roster?
I think they're going to clean some house in NXT. I think Io goes up, and I think the next person we're going to talk about in our match also goes up. One of these
for sure.
people.
But Io is the only one in the women's division right now that I'm like, oh, it's my cat jumping over the soundboard. Io's the only one in the women's division that I'm like, there's nothing else for her to do.
There's nothing else for her to do,
there's
right? Whereas
truly nothing else for her to do.
Nothing. Her other partner's on the shelf.
Right.
She just lost this match.
And the main roster could use somebody like Io Shirai.
Yeah, it could, especially like we still don't know where Bayley is. The rumor was she's
Bayley's
in town.
Living in my heart.
Maybe she shows up tonight. We still don't know where Asuka is. The rumor is she's in town. Maybe she shows up tonight. Hopefully. But yeah, Io would be dope there. Like they need. It's time to replenish. We need some new blood.
Yeah. All right. Next match was a singles match between Gunther and LYNCH.
LYNCH. So. Look, we all knew Gunther, however he wants. We knew he was going to win.
Big G.
Yeah, Big G. We knew Big G and the boys. The leader of Big G and the boys was going to win.
Imperium is now Big G and the boys.
Big G and the boys.
Put it in your recaps. Yep. That's what we're never using the name Imperium ever again.
It's Big G and the boys.
Until they bring, if they bring the music back, sure, we can call them Imperium again. But if they don't, it's Big G and the boys.
Yep. So we knew he was going to win. Cool. I was maybe not surprised. LA Knight gave him more of a match than I figured he would.
Yeah. It was like for what it was still like an 11-minute match. It was lengthy.
It was two big men being big men and beating each other up. That's exactly what it was. And I like that they're not forgetting that LA Knight still has a back issue from a couple matches ago.
Right.
And Big G played into that, and he beat him down because of it. And I really do believe like it's time for Knight to move on.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't know what. I mean, maybe if you put him in the main roster, you put him in that United States Championship picture.
Yeah,
you put him in the Intercontinental picture.
Put him in put him in the IC, put him in the United States. Frankly, both of them need some blood. Poor Finn Balor losing twice on SmackDown. Ricochet won. Hey,
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't want to talk about SmackDown.
But bring LA Knight up.
LA Knight is somebody that like when he got signed with WWE, because he's from Impact, right? He was
and he was in NWA before he moved to NXT too. So there's that. I
can't believe that his ridiculous name LA Knight is overshadowing his indie name for me, especially because I watched Impact religiously when he was on it. And in my old podcast, we literally used dummy as a sign off. And I can't remember his stupid name because WWE has put worms in my brain, and now he's LYNCH.
That's what they do to you. That's their old plan, to make it so that you don't remember anything before.
Oh,
That's the
no,
plan.
it's working. Anyways, he has always been somebody who has been great on the mic and is good in the ring. Like, bringing him into NXT, I guess, made sense because they bring almost everybody into NXT except for AJ Styles. But he's always drifted main roster. Like, he didn't need NXT, right?
No,
NXT needed him. He didn't need NXT. And especially when Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode came down and all three of them were in the ring, it was like, yeah, dude, you belong with them. Just go to the main roster. Like, especially because the main roster could use some good talkers. Like, singles wrestlers that are good talkers, they could use it.
Especially when we're talking about that mid-card scene. Ricochet's fine. Finn is fine.
A lot better. Okay.
Yeah, they're both fine on the mic. They're both fine, but
Finn's good on the mic, but he's just right now like
because they don't let him do anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, Finn can do it, but they don't let him do it. Whereas you need someone to really talk people into these matches, man.
Let me talk to you.
Right. Yeah.
The worms will not defeat me.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And that's what he was in NWA, Eli Drake. And when he came to NXT as LA Knight, I'm like, LA Knight, that's a
LYNCH. But you know what? That's a stupid name, but it does work for him.
Yeah. 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 I get it.
Okay. Final match of the night was a singles match for the NXT Championship. Champion Dolph Ziggler versus Braun Breaker. And still
the champ.
I hate that in 2020, I, Stella Cheeks, first of my name, am happy that Dolph Ziggler retained the NXT Championship. But you know what? I am. Sorry to my son, Braun Breaker, but it was the right call.
It was absolutely the right call. And a friend of mine told me there were people mad on the internet. Shocker. There were people mad on the internet. And
people
they were
mad on the internet? You
right,
don't say.
I know, right? Oh my God.
I used that on my mute button yesterday.
Right, the deuce, you say. And then they even said, there were a couple of people saying, well, Braun should have just kept the title and vacated it on NXT. I'm like, that's dumb. Who does that help? That doesn't help anyone. Braun's whole thing was, I'm going to regain this title for NXT. That's what his thing was. I'm going to regain it for the people who chant NXT every week because Dolph Ziggler disrespects them and disrespects NXT. So for Braun to get the title and then vacate it on a Tuesday, that would be stupid.
But you know what?
That doesn't help anyone.
I don't think Dolph disrespects NXT.
Well, I don't either, but that's Braun's thing.
I know, but like I really feel like Dolph is giving. It's ridiculous to say that Dolph Ziggler, who has been on the roster since before time, is bringing fresh blood to NXT, but he is reinvigorating NXT. Somebody I was hanging out with yesterday was like, Dolph Ziggler is good every 6 years, and this is he has a good run every 6 years, and this is it, right? This is one of the times when Dolph Ziggler is being used to his full potential. I mean, like we said earlier, I want to see Carmelo Hayes and Dolph Ziggler wrestle. That sounds fun as hell.
Sure do. And that's a perfect feud for Carmelo. Perfect for Carmelo.
Yeah, it is.
Whereas him and Braun Breaker, I'm like, but him and Ziggler, yes. And then now that we get him and Ziggler and we get Trick and Roode, yes.
It's going to be fun.
That in my life. If that's what they're going to do, and they should do it. Sean, we're listening. Sean, call us.
Sean listens to this podcast. He knows how much you love him. He listens.
Yes, he is my husband. Yes, he knows. So it's just all of that. Dolph, what I loved about that match is how it sort of butt convention. It set itself up to make it look like, oh, Braun's going to win. And it started with the fact that he started dominating, and then he had to work from underneath, which is normally that's how it works with the good guys.
Roode got kicked out of there.
Roode got kicked out, and you're like, oh, all right, cool, great, this is awesome. And they're having this match, and Braun's still working from underneath, and then he finds his footing again, and he starts getting his momentum.
It told a really good story,
right? And he finishes the match the way you think he's going to finish. He does his finishing move, and here comes Bobby Roode again. Now, that's something I always wanted to see in wrestling. What happens if the person who got kicked out decides, I'm just going to come back?
The ref goes, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, I just do nothing.
So Sean made two very hilarious jokes. One, that
Sean from our Slack, not Shawn Michaels, godfather of the podcast.
Right. Sean said that Shawn Michaels hired AEW's referees. Very funny. Because AEW's referees are tragically inept. And then he also said that that WWE's referees basically did to Rude what the Academy did to Will Smith. And much like Will Smith, Rude was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm going to stay. And they could do nothing about it. And it was perfect. And so it saves Braun. Braun doesn't look weak at all for losing that match. Dolph looks like the smartest guy in the world. Braun also looks like $1 million because Dolph sold for him. He sold like hell for him. And then he cheated to win the match, as we talked about again. He not only cheated with having Bobby Roode come in and save him twice, he cheated by raking this guy in the eye, pushing him into an exposed turnbuckle, and then giving a super kick just for good measure. The ultimate dick move. Like, it's perfect. It was perfect. And it was a great match. And I remember when they announced this thinking, man, I don't know, Braun and Dolph, but then it's like, well, no, Dolph's going to make it work.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that like in 2022, like you said, I'm just, no, Dolph's going to make it work. It'll be fine. It's going to be fine. And it was more than fine. And I was pleased.
I'm regretting getting rid of my Dolph Ziggler shirt. Fun fact about me, when I got back into wrestling, the first shirt I bought was a Dolph Ziggler shirt. A, because it was like an amazing design, and B, because I was a baby and didn't know any better. But I ripped it up.
Well, hey, don't be mad at yourself. You did the right thing.
All right, okay. Stand and Deliver, delivered. Now let's move on to WrestleMania Night 1. I would also say there were some ebbs and flows, but overall, also delivered.
Sure did. Yeah.
The highs were so high that the lows are forgettable.
Completely forgettable, because even when I was thinking about when I was recapping the night, I completely forgot about the Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin match. Like, completely forgot about it. Like, I wrote it, I watched it, and everything happened since then. I was just like, oh yeah, that was a thing that happened tonight. Yeah, right.
So first of all, there's a 2-hour pre-show that had absolutely nothing on it, which honestly felt like a big slap in the face for me, because I just had it on, just waiting for something to do. And I was like, at least Kofi and Xavier look fly as hell.
They did.
They're here to entertain me.
Too bad we didn't get to see that flyness last night.
But it has been bumped to this show tonight, which is insane to me, because this show has more matches on it and is longer.
So that means they want this to go to 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. That's the plan.
I love being on Central Time Zone. I got to be honest. You should move.
I should. Yeah,
if you're going to cover wrestling, you should move to the Pacific Time Zone, or you should be in Central. You cannot be on the Eastern Time Zone. I know. They really do hate you.
Yeah, it's again, this is one of the beauties of, at least we're working from home still. Because if you're going to the office,
there's got to be stuff on the kickoff today. They haven't announced it at the time of this recording. They just have the matches, but a couple of those matches got to be pushed to the kickoff. There's no way.
No, that's impossible. They are human beings also, and they're not machines. They need, come on, and there's a.
I feel like Vince would disagree.
Well, obviously,
Vince is like, I'm 50% machine now and motor oil or whatever. You can do it. I'm just virgin blood and motor oil. Just come on, you spend your billions. Be better.
I don't need sleep. Surely you don't.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Let's go.
Hey, come on, you can do this. You come on, pal. You don't need to get sick. What is that? Sick? What is sickness? Yeah.
All right. So the first match on the main show, no pre-show, was a tag team match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Usos versus Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. It only lasted for 7 minutes because, unfortunately, the spot that we thought was faked because, at least me, because it felt like a storyline continuation, right? Like Rick Boogs had a leg injury that he quote unquote faked to get this championship match. So it felt like in the moment, oh, this is just what it is, like it's acting, and I never expected this match to be particularly long anyways. So when it was short, I was like, okay, that was shorter than I expected, but like whatever, the bloodline was never going to lose this match. But then there were pictures and stuff, and then they reported on later, but Rick Boogs' leg gave out and he tore his quad. He's going to be out for some time, which sucks because his career was like on the up and up. He was like, everybody was excited to see him, even though the bloodline was absolutely always going to win this. Like, he's a fun wrestler, and him and Shinsuke, for two random people thrown together, are fun as hell. It's a really big bummer that at his first WrestleMania this happened.
Yeah, this was a showcase for him. You could tell when he got in the match, he was excited. He was hyped. And
especially because Shinsuke was like, go for it, my friend. Like, Shinsuke was there just to be like a good bro. Let's be real. Shinsuke doesn't care. He's like, yeah, whatever. I'm Shinsuke Nakamura.
Shinsuke's counting his millions, man. Like, he's fine. Like,
Shinsuke truly was like, I did my best work in Japan, and I'm just here to like surf and get a paycheck. Like, I will show up. I'll do a good job. But like, you can be mad on the internet because I don't have a championship or whatever. But like, I'm good.
I'm here to build my nest egg. That's what he's doing. And that's perfectly fine, though. You earned it. And he's here to also let other people
100%
move ahead, to push them. And Rick Boogs was obviously that guy. And it does suck because he was so excited. And the Usos were generous to him too. They were giving him spots.
His leg went out because he was doing a spot with both of them on his shoulders to show how flippin' strong he is. Because he's really strong, but unfortunately.
And the match got cut short. And so this is one of those things where it's like that, you give that match an A just on the strength of, hey man, everyone tried. You all did the best of what you had.
And let's be real, had it gone longer, it would have slapped. The Usos are, in my estimation, frankly incapable of having a bad match.
No.
And Shinsuke's great and Boogs is great. Like, it would have been fun. It just sucks that it got cut short, which is also ridiculous that this match got cut short and they still had to cut a match. But whatever.
Yeah, it's like the show still went long, even though whatever.
Insane.
Anyway, less video packages, less commercials, more matches, but that's a different discussion.
Okay, the second match was Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin.
A match I forgot existed.
For a match that was a nothing burger and should have been on the pre-show or on flippin' SmackDown WrestleMania.
Which is what I wrote, that it was that the match could have easily been on Friday. Nobody would have tripped.
For what it was
fun.
Was fun.
Exactly right.
It was fun to watch Angela the Sword destroy the ring.
Rope, destroy the ring. Yeah, like that was the fun part, because we always saying, well, when is he going to actually use the sword?
Also, the end of days is not a protected finisher anymore.
No, it's not.
So I guess there is an argument to be made. The end of days was a finisher that's been protected for literal years. Mm-hmm. And when Baron Corbin was King Corbin, and Baron Corbin was more of like a heel, a darker heel, not like a silly heel or whatever, it did, I thought, made sense. Like, it's a brutal finisher. Like, sure, you've kept it protected, just keep it. But now he's this kind of like silly heel, whatever. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I guess it's just protected because it's always been protected. So to have Drew, who is a top tier talent in the company, defeat it and have it be defeated at WrestleMania, like that is a WrestleMania moment.
That's a big deal.
It was a 8-minute match. Like, it is a WrestleMania moment. So I can see the justification to being like, this is one of, like, WWE doesn't really do protected finishers anymore. Like, we don't have a lot of streaks anymore. Like, this was an actual streak. So they're going to break it. I guess I'm walking it back. I think it did deserve a WrestleMania moment.
I mean, that's the moment, and Drew using that sword is a moment.
Yeah.
Like, he finally used a sword. I got nothing to say about the match. Like, everything you said, I agree. Like, again, I completely forgot about it, so that shows you how I ultimately felt. Like, it wasn't bad, it wasn't great, it was just like, yeah, it was fine. It was cool. Yeah.
So the match after this was The Miz and Logan Paul versus the Mysterios. The Miz and Logan Paul won. And also, is Logan Paul a very good wrestler?
So Logan Paul is ill. We need to discuss that. Logan Paul.
They throw Logan Paul a contract? I feel like he should just be like...
Oh, he should be a wrestler now.
Yeah, his boxing career was a joke anyways. Like, social media is like whatever. Like, he should just be a wrestler now. And I hate that I'm saying this, but he was very good at it.
Nah, Logan Paul is dope. And so whomever trained him, whether it was actually Miz, whoever it was, great job. Like, Logan Paul came in and not only did the spots that he was supposed to do, but then he knew how to draw the heat, baby.
The Pokemon chain was very funny. And Logan Paul is, by all accounts, kind of a douche, whatever. I'm not somebody that watches YouTube stuff, so I'm always like, a YouTube star? Sure. Like, I'm not judging people that do. It's just like,
same. I
have my own vices. Like,
right. I always say, look, my geekdom, my nerddom has its bounds.
Right.
All right.
I can only do so much. There are only so many hours in the day.
I can only do but so much, man. Like I can't, I got to draw a line somewhere. So yeah.
Absolutely. But so I don't really know anything about him other than like the things that people have said about him. And the overall consensus is that he's kind of a douchebag. But to know that that's your brand and to have this like ridiculous Pokemon story where you like got almost scammed out of like cards or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Pokemon's cool. I play Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go to the polls. Don't worry about it. But to be self-referential and to make fun of yourself on the grandest stage of them all, on the stupendous night, that to me, honestly, that is the moment where I was like, he didn't even get in the ring and do a good job, but that is the moment where I was like, I think he's good at this. And to be a self-referential heel, like that's what Miz is. Miz knows what he is, and he makes fun of it. And that's why he's so good at his job. That's all Miz and Mrs. is. It's them just making fun of themselves. And that's why that show slaps. It's really good. And then for him to get in the ring and be a good wrestler, like I will never complain about a celebrity match when the celebrities like wrestling. Even if they don't do the best job, you can tell when they like it and they care about it and they try. Like, Stephen Amell, fun. Bad Bunny, fun. Logan Paul, fun.
And again, he knew how to draw that heat. He knew doing those three amigos was going to
little
get
Viva La Raza with the shit-eating grin. Amazing.
Oh my God.
And then a good frog splash.
Right. It was a great frog splash. Because he did the shimmy. I'm like, okay, he's going to do an awful frog splash though. And then he did a great frog splash. I'm like, oh, that's going to make the crowd hate him even more. It's the fact that he's making fun of Eddie and Ray and Dominic, and
then doing a good job.
Yes.
Sorry, Snoop Dogg, your frog splash ain't shit.
Nah, bruh. Snoop. Come on. I know you're doing a lot for the Crips, as we discussed last night. Doing a whole lot for the Crips, advertising from them nationwide. But you gotta get that frog splash up. You got to.
But even that, because Snoop Dogg loves wrestling, even though it was shitty, it was still fun.
Well, yeah, and that's because he's having a fun time. Like you said, they either really enjoy it or they're really good at it and they enjoy it. Snoop isn't good at it, but Snoop loves it.
Yeah.
So because he loves it, you're just like, cool, sure, man. Whatever. Do you, man? This is fun.
So Miz and Logan Paul win, which was shocking.
Yep.
But then Miz turned on Logan Paul, which is a Miz move, whatever. I understand Logan Paul actually likes Cleveland. Miz cannot abide by that. I get it. But the only thing that I am questioning, because the whole timeline on Twitter and in our Slack, and I'm sure everybody's household was, oh my God, Logan Paul is really good. Oh my God, Logan Paul is a great natural heel. This could work. But then turning Miz on him, are they going to try and make Logan Paul a face? Like that is a bad choice.
Well, see, I'm the only one our Slack was like, yeah, but what if they just go the opposite and just try to make Miz the face?
I mean, Miz can do it. It's not the best, but he can.
Right, because that crowd loved him for it. I mean, obviously, because they hated Logan Paul at that moment. But even if they hated Logan Paul, Miz got into the crowd and sold it with them.
Yeah.
So it's one thing if Miz did it just as a heel move, which he can do, and he just walk off and blah, blah, blah. But he felt the crowd. Like, he jumped into the crowd on some CM Punk shit.
Miz knows how to read a room, man.
Yeah, and it was just like, he was rocking out with them because he did this. I'm like, what if they just make Miz, if not a straight-up face, they make him a tweener?
You could have a scumbag versus scumbag match and have it be Miz be like, you did a good job, but, like, you don't respect this business. I spent all this time with you, blah, blah, blah. And then have Logan Paul be like, fuck you. I do respect this business. And because I respect this business, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And then we have this match that like serves to prove to the WWE universe that like, no, Logan Paul is actually a good wrestler. And like, we're going to sign him and he's actually going to do a good job. And then they can just go off and be shitty heels on their own in different storylines.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I feel like if they use it to like get Logan Paul over as a wrestler, it could work.
Look, they need, like we just said, they need more wrestlers, which is funny to think about. They have all these wrestlers, but they don't.
They don't actually. They fired most of the people.
Let me rephrase this. they need to find better ways to use their wrestlers.
They need more sports entertainers, and Logan Paul is a sports entertainer.
I mean, that is true. He definitely knew how to rock that headband, and he definitely knew to keep putting it back on whenever it fell off.
I love when people come out in gear that I go, I love it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it. What's happening? Do I hate it? Do I love it? And Logan Paul and The Miz, I just stared at them for like their whole entrance, and I was like, I think it's brilliant.
I mean, like we said, WrestleMania is a time to go big. You don't do anything small at WrestleMania, which we'll get to later because a couple people did do very small things. Yeah, but continuing on, yes, Logan Paul, props to you, sir.
Let's talk about match of the night. I'm calling it now. Match of the weekend. I don't care. Bianca Belair versus Becky. We all knew this would slap. We all knew this should have been the main event. I had that conversation with Bianca and I fangirled. And I fangirled for a motherfucking reason. Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch turned it the fuck out. And I don't like to swear that much on this podcast because I don't like to make it explicit, but I don't care because they're amazing. They're two of the best wrestlers in the world. They looked incredible. Their entrances were incredible. The match was great. Bianca post-match with a fucking black eye and maybe a broken face gave a promo where you couldn't even tell if you couldn't physically see it, if you could have just heard the audio. She didn't even flinch. She cut a perfect babyface promo right after getting kicked in the face. I literally jumped up out of my seat, screamed. I cried. Like, Bianca Belair, I'm going to cry again. Bianca Belair reminds me why I love wrestling. Like, sometimes it's hard to watch wrestling because there's a lot of, honestly, bad people and bad matches and like, it can be exhausting. The culture can be really toxic. Like, there's a lot of things that are barriers to being a thinking man's wrestling fan. But Bianca Belair reminds me why I love wrestling, and they should make her Mrs. WrestleMania. She's got a 2-0 streak at WrestleMania. She deserves it. And also, like, I'm going to talk forever, Marcus, and then I'll let you talk forever. I'm just having a lot of big emotions. Like, when Becky came back and defeated Bianca at SummerSlam, it was heartbreaking and it sucked. And I'm giving WWE the benefit of the doubt because it's Becky and Bianca, and like they're one of the only people we've said before that like actually get
that they actually care about.
WWE does not do long-term storytelling great, but like from the moment Becky came back at SummerSlam to the moment Bianca won at WrestleMania, that was like a great story. And the payoff was there and they both looked incredible. Like, Becky's entrance was just like the classic, like, big car, but it worked. And her gear was all Blade Runner-y. That was one that took me
David Bowie. It was Blade Runner and David Bowie. She had a nice little combination of both.
I just like kept moving it to the worst and best in my like gear post. And I was like, I don't know. But you know, it landed in the best because it worked. And then Bianca having the HBCU.
TSU.
Come out and do like, I'm a white lady, but like it was just like a nice moment to be like, hell yeah, Bianca coming up and being like, not only, I just love how unapologetically like who she is and how she's like, I'm a black woman and I'm never gonna dull myself down to be the best because I don't have to. And WWE has like a shady ass history, but the fact that like she never has to dull herself or pretend to be like who she's not
going to be rocking blue eye contacts like they did with Reigns once. That's not going to happen with her.
And like one of her main moves is don't touch my hair. Like that is incredible. And I just think like she is somebody who anybody can look at, like little black girls can look at and be like, hell yeah, like that's incredible. But then other people can be like, I am so excited. As a woman, I'm excited to see her. Like as a wrestling fan, like all of the like, you know, people I was with, everybody jumped out of their seat. Like Bianca is a once in a generation talent. She lives up to the hype. That match was technically great. Even there was like a moment where Bianca, I think, went to like pick Becky up and like didn't have the grip right. But the way that they dealt with it, like they're two just extraordinary talents. They dealt with it in a way where like Becky looked like she was struggling out of it. Like it could have been a botch and they turned it into something that looked like it was part of the fight. Like they are just so good. And Becky did a good job staying in character as a heel, whipping out all of her like tactics, trying to like cheat. She had a couple moments where she put her feet on the ropes, like getting frustrated. There were some near falls that almost fucking killed me in that match. Like the beginning where it almost seemed like she was going to win like that again. They just did such a good job. They're two of the best, like, professional wrestlers in wrestling skill, personas, mic work, like once in a generation talent for both of them. And it just made me, it ticked every box as a wrestling fan. I will say it until I die, and you can just like roll your eyes if you want, but women's wrestling is the best wrestling in the world, and they stole the show, and I love them both. And Bianca's never going to listen to this, but I love you so much. Your turn. I'm going to like take a breath. Sorry. Right. I just got really excited.
No, it's all good. It's fine. You got excited for me because you know this, and I've said this before on the show. Bianca's my favorite wrestler.
So when reason.
So when Bianca wins, I feel emotional too, where it's just like, yes, man, because she is, and I've said this before, she is such a pure character, and it is so hard to do that in 2022, to be a babyface and just be pure and not corny.
Mm-hmm.
And not forced and not blah. Like she manages to be a babyface while still maintaining everything that made her a great heel.
Right.
And she knows how to just turn that energy in any direction at any given time when she needs to do it. And it's perfect. And the match was perfect. Like you said, even that one little moment they had, and I remember that moment. I was like, ooh, but they turned it into a thing to make it like, oh, okay, they're fine. Because they're pros. And we said this in our Slack, and I believe it, and I'm gonna have a counter argument to myself later on. They are the two biggest stars in this company. Like I know people, Brock Lesnar, cool. Roman Reigns, cool, fine. Becky and Bianca are the only two who carry themselves like stars.
Yeah.
They carry themselves like they belong on the cover of Entertainment Weekly or People Magazine or whatever the kids are reading these days. They belong there.
Teen Vogue.
Teen Vogue. That interest with TSU, huge. Becky giving herself the Marvel logo style entrance on the Titantron.
Good.
Huge. Like that's such the move for her. Everything fits, and it was
they just get it
right. Exactly. Like they just know what they're doing. And I really feel like, because just knowing what I know of both of them, I'm sure they felt a little something about not being in the Charlotte and Ronda
that
spot.
Becky interview that was like quote in character, that was a shoot of her being like, the losers are going on last because somebody complained.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it is. Like she knows that. And Bianca knows that. Now Bianca's character and Bianca as a person will never come out and say that.
Because she's super gracious. That's
exactly.
The thing.
Because
both of them know that, and they're never going to go to the dirt sheets and complain. Like they're smart. And the thing that, to what you're saying about them like being stars, I think the thing that carries over for me, again, I just said like as a woman, but like they understand what they mean to a lot of people, I think. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not just like, I'm doing it for myself. This is my dream, which it obviously is, but they understand what they represent and the importance of both of them in our business and our business, whatever, in their business.
And that's why she comes out with TSU.
Yeah.
Like, that's why she does that. A friend of mine who, was in a band and went to HBCU was like, she could have picked a different school. Like just
they were in Texas.
Well, a different Texas school, but still, he was like, props to her for doing it, and he was just dissing the band.
Yeah,
that's
I them. They did a good job.
I don't get into the discussions. I like, you were in a band, man. You went to an HBCU. You got it.
That's fair. That's fair.
I got nothing for you. But the fact that she did it, like you said, she is like, as a Black woman. As a Black man looking at a Black woman, it really just warms my heart to be like, yo, she's out here and she is doing her, and she is repping not just for, like my niece or my goddaughter, like she's repping for me. And that is really empowering. And it's the same way I feel about Sasha. Same exact thing. But with Bianca, it's just, obviously this is Bianca's moment right now, and that's not a diss to Sasha, but these two rep for us hard. And I appreciate the hell out of that, especially in a business where we were normally not allowed to do that. New Day does it too in their own way.
Oh yeah.
Like let's not act like they don't. The Hurt Business did it in a big way, which is another reason that shit still upsets me to this day.
It's really still upsetting.
But Bianca, Becky, just they tore the shit down. I don't know, man. It's just really hard to look at them and then look at everyone else in that company and be like, yeah, you're on the same level.
Yeah.
Like it's just
when Becky jokes and says like, oh, I'm going to be in a Marvel movie someday, or when Sasha Banks says, I'm going to be a Cena level star, that's not a joke.
No, like they're dead ass.
It's a prediction.
Yeah, like they're dead ass. And Sasha's right. And if Bianca wants that, like real shit, if Bianca wants it, she's going to get it.
Yeah.
Like if she truly wants to be the next John Cena level star, I'm not going to mention Austin because again, I'm getting to that later. I have a whole thing on that.
I'm just thinking of like Hollywood stuff, like
Stone
did not do great.
Yeah, but in Hollywood. if she wants to be John Cena, if she wants to be Rock, she wants to be Rock level of where you are the box office king for God knows how many years, box office queen, and they can do that shit.
Okay,
they can.
I don't care. I know this is off topic, but if you had to cast Sasha, Becky, and Bianca in comic book movies or comic book characters, who would you do? First of all, Becky would be an amazing Elsa Bloodstone.
Okay. So because I always go Spider-Man first with everything in my life, I would make Sasha Mary Jane Watson.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because she has...
But wouldn't she be an amazing Felicia Hardy?
She would. Well, she would be, but I think Mary Jane just gets a lot. I mean, she would because I think Felicia would be easier for her.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think MJ gets a bad rep publicly because we have there's a caricature idea of what MJ is.
Yeah.
And it's never who she actually is. Like she's a smart woman. She's a driven woman. She's an ambitious woman. She's a strong ass woman.
Yeah.
She has to be strong to carry that guy on her back and his bullshit for as long as she does. Ugh. And she puts up with it. And she puts up with all of his quirks and everything.
But don't you want to see Sasha as a villain?
Yeah.
She's such a good bad guy.
She is. And that's why Felicia would work. And that's why Felicia would be easy.
Yeah.
That's why I would give her something different. With Bianca, I would actually make Bianca.
Storm.
I was going to say an X-Men. I don't know about Storm.
I think Bianca.
I still think Jade needs to be Storm.
I think Bianca in 20 years, Storm.
Fair. And I think Jade now, Storm. But we're not talking about Jade. But Bianca could, whether it's Storm, I'd like to see Bianca actually be a villain. I'd like to see Bianca be Emma Frost.
Oh,
again, I'm just thinking out of the box.
What? Bianca is Emma Frost? I love that.
Yeah.
But also, like, Sasha as Emma Frost would be amazing.
It's like Sasha's Emma Frost would be dope too.
You know what? I just think Bianca has the like the regalness to be like Storm. Like, but she's also like, I'm Bianca. I could buy as like Queen of Mars.
Exactly.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I can buy Bianca as Queen of Mars. But Sasha Banks says Emma Frost is transcendent casting, and that is forever where
that's perfect. That is perfect. That's exactly who needs to be Emma Frost. When they do that again, hey, Disney, you already got a number. Just like, hey, you want to do Emma Frost?
We have 3 other matches to talk about, and my brain fully shorted out when we said the words Sasha Banks, Emma Frost.
Yeah, that's dope. No diss to January Jones, but we can do better.
Yeah.
We can do better.
Emma Frost in the comic books is one of the most complex, interesting characters, and Sasha Banks has shown through her like heel versus face character work as a wrestler, incredible. Also, we know she can pull off some crazy ass outfits. So
she can. I'm thinking.
Okay, but now I want to do Bianca as Storm, Sasha as Emma Frost, and I want Becky to be Jean Grey, which is boring, but then to also be Madeline Pryor. I want Becky as like the Goblin Queen.
That would be
immediately.
Dope. But see, her as Jean Grey is boring.
Let's go.
Well, her as Jean Grey is boring, but her as the Phoenix is not boring.
Yeah. Well, Jean Grey is just boring. So.
But Becky would be a fantastic Phoenix.
Yeah.
Because she has that inner fuck you. That inner, this is the thing that we're going to do this.
But if we did Becky as Madeline Pryor and then we had Seth Rollins as Havoc in that ridiculous like Goblin King outfit.
That makes sense. So when we get to, so there's a line that, speaking of, so there's a line Seth said in the match that I will talk about.
Okay,
that I believe
well, let's move on to it because it's the next match. We could talk about X-Men and
man,
I could talk about X-Men forever. Spider-Man's yours, X-Men's mine. But now, if you are an artist,
our favorite pastime now.
If you're an artist and you're listening to this, please send me your portfolio because I would like to pay somebody money to draw Becky Lynch as the Goblin Queen and Seth Rollins as the Goblin King. I need
and Sasha's Emma Frost.
Yeah, I need that too, but I specifically need Seth Rollins in that silly ass Alex Summers outfit. I need it a lot for my life.
Please do it for her, please.
Anyways, okay, speaking of silly ass Seth Rollins.
Yes.
Seth Rollins saw Bianca's entrance and said, "Let me just grab a bunch of drunk people from the crowd."
And have them just, chant.
But it was actually perfect. And honestly, the placement of this match, I thought was really smart because Becky and Bianca tore it down.
Yep.
It was going to be impossible to follow that match because it was a main event match. Certain matches main event because they're impossible to follow. Mm-hmm. So if you get somebody that is insane, like Seth Rollins, in his silly ass outfit and have this entrance that is a mockery of fancy entrances in a good way, right? It wasn't like it was making fun of Bianca specifically, but being like, it's WrestleMania, I have to have a fancy entrance. And it just being like people in silly glasses, like going,
That's all it was. It
was great. It was perfect. But then you knew we knew the Cody Rhodes pop was going to be big. And honestly, other than the Stone Cold pop, which was in the right spot, nothing would have been able to follow that match. So it was smart placement.
And it was surreal seeing the AEW shit like that. They gave him the full AEW package.
I mean, he owned that music. He used that music on the indies and ROH and stuff. That was his. And that neck tattoo it belongs to him. That neck tattoo that definitely got a touch up.
Oh yeah. And like I said, it looks extra bad in Super HD.
I don't want to pat myself on the back, but my favorite tweet of the night that I sent was, not to be a gatekeeper, but has Cody Rhodes even seen The Boys?
Oh man. He's still doing the Homelander thing. He's still doing it. It's just and at this point, you said you're wondering whether he's even seen The Boys. At this point, I have to figure he's just doing it to fuck with people now.
Oh, for sure.
He knows. If he hasn't seen The Boys, he's seen the tweets.
It's just to be funny. I don't actually care.
It's hilarious.
For somebody who's I'm never going to... But you know what? Homelander doesn't think he's a bad guy either.
He sure doesn't.
That's the whole point. Bad guys don't think they're bad guys.
If they're really good, the best hills are the ones who don't think they're hills. They think they're doing the right thing. They're the best. And like Seth doesn't think he's a hill. He's crazy. He doesn't think he's a hill.
Seth is a psychotic villain. And that is...
a psychopath. Right. Yeah, and he dressed like Liberace last night, and it was fantastic. And then Cody comes out, gets this huge pop, and they put on a very AEW style match.
I don't know who tweeted this, but somebody said 3-star legend Cody Rhodes. I would say that's fair.
How did your tweet go about the blood? Because I know you were.
Cody Rhodes' body is so confused right now. Why is all the blood on the inside? His forehead was about to just pop.
It was throbbing. It was
truly me no understand where blood go. He doesn't even have to blade anymore. His body is I'm ready.
Yeah, it knows it's wrestling. It knows it's time. I'm pretty sure he has an internal clock where he knows, all right, we've been wrestling for about 15 minutes now. At the 20-minute mark, that's when I need the orifices to just pop.
We were joking that they're going to give the refs squirt bottles that you do give to cats. And so that anytime Cody Rhodes goes to blade and start to bleed, the refs just squirt him with water and go, no.
Oh man, I can see it because
we're making fun of him, right? Yes, we're making fun of him because it is our favorite pastime. No longer free agent Cody Rhodes. He's not my favorite wrestler. It was a good match.
He did good last night. They both did really well last night.
Yeah.
Him and obviously Seth was going to do well. There was I love the story beat that specifically Corey Graves threw in there of Dusty's favorite pupil versus Dusty's son.
Yeah,
that was great. And I
elbow was fun to see.
That was fun. There was a line that Seth said that I hope Becky says to him whenever he comes home, where he said, "Welcome to the big time." And I was like, "No." She said, "Welcome back to the big time." And I was like, "Oh my God, I hope that's their dirty talk."
You know it is.
It's their dirty talk. Like every time Becky's
in charge. We know
Becky's just like, "Welcome back to the big time, bitch." Oh, I hope that's what she does. But it was great, and truthfully, I want this to continue. I may be the only one who wants that, but I want more of Seth and Cody because I think there is a really good story there.
Yeah.
Of Dusty's legacy.
I agree. And also, like, Seth lost, but Seth's character is...
He's impervious to losing.
Matter, so he can just be like, well, I didn't know who was coming out, and I didn't get to, I didn't get to prep and blah, blah, blah. Right. And you're just some, like, whatever. And so, like, they could continue this feud for sure.
Yeah, because like you said, Seth, he's a psycho. So, losing is just a trial run for him. Right. He doesn't care. It's whatever. Fine. I'll win tomorrow.
Villains almost always lose, and they always come back. That is their insanity.
Yeah. So I want to see it, and I was glad that Dallas gave love to Cody. He leaving WWE when he did was a big move. Starting AEW was a big move.
Yeah,
leaving
it's still
AEW,
insane that he left, frankly.
Again, it's still insane that you go from being a boss to an employee. Variety, I will never understand
that Variety article dropped immediately when his music hit. Like, they clearly were sitting on it. And there's, like, a pull quote from that said, like, something akin to, I left AEW due to, like, irreconcilable. That's a hard word.
Irreconcilable differences. Yeah.
Look, I've had a lot of coffee this morning.
You got to find energy somehow.
I left AEW due to creative differences. Like, I left. It wasn't like a, whatever. And it wasn't a nice parting. It was me being like, no, I'm going to go somewhere else. And as much as I think it's ridiculous, it is, like, quite the power move.
I mean, again, like I'd say, it's risky. He takes risks. Like, we do a lot of dumping on Cody for obvious reasons, but I will always give him props for just betting on himself and being like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out here and do this thing. And it might be stupid, but I'm gonna do it.
It'll be really interesting too, because, like, Cody Rhodes in WWE before he left or got fired or whatever was never a main eventer, right? He was like a high-end mid-card at best, and then like a tag star, and then, like, he was always doing stuff. He was always, like, a perennial favorite of mine, Mustache Cody Rhodes, very good. Like, he can do it, but now that he is Cody Rhodes, every single wrestling fan in the world, regardless of if you watch WWE or AEW, knows who this man is. He is a star, regardless of how we feel about him and make fun of him. He is a big star. He's one of the biggest stars in wrestling. He had a Variety article come out about him. Like, that's a big deal, right?
Him and his wife were in People.
Right. He had a reality show. Like, he's a big star. It will be interesting to see how he fits into WWE and what his, like, contract was and what, like, Vince thinks of him now, because, like, Vince knows star power. Cody's a star, and, like, a lot of people are joking, and it might be true. Like, he comes back, we'll see him in the 24/7 championship in, like, less than 2 months or whatever. But I don't know. Like, he has star power now in a way that he never did.
I think it would be stupid for Vince to misuse him at this point. For all the reasons you said, for the reaction he got last night.
You don't have to be the best wrestler in the world to be a top star in WWE. That's just a fact.
Exactly. Right. And you never had to be that. That's never been the case. You just have to be really good and get the audience to buy into you emotionally. And the audience will always buy into Cody emotionally. They will always do that.
Even when he was at AEW and he wanted to be a face, we were all, like, booing. Not all. It was like 40-60. But like, we were still emotional about it. Exactly. I still had a reaction every time that man walked onto my TV.
Exactly. And that's all Vince cares about. And it would be foolish.
Well, all he cares about is
money. Right. That's the second thing he cares about. It would be foolish to...
Money, immortality.
Vampire. I don't know what the plan for Cody is in the future, but hopefully he is not disappointed with, his using. Hopefully we're not disappointed. And I hope that every night for him goes as well as last night does. That's my genuine hope. Because, again, he took a big swing.
Right.
And I'm a fan of people who take big swings.
I love making fun of him, and it will always be one of my favorite pastimes. But as somebody who watches almost every single hour of WWE, well, I watch every main WWE show, right? Yeah. I would like to watch a show that is good, versus watching a show that is boring and bad. So I would like Cody Rhodes to have a good career in WWE.
Yeah,
I will continue to make fun of him because it is my favorite.
Because it's hilarious, and he's easy to make fun of.
Yeah, I don't want to see anybody fail because it's not fun to watch.
Right, that means it's whack, and we don't want to.
Except for sometimes it is fun to watch people fail.
Well, last night was one of those times.
Okay, here's the thing. You guys are all making fun of me in the Slack because was Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey not a good match? No. But I don't think it was as bad as everybody is saying. And Gina was like, this is the one time Stella's being nice about Ronda Rousey, and it's truly unnecessary.
And I asked you, and the thing you said something about like, do they have
chemistry? And there's no flow, but it's fine.
And I was like, but those are the two things you need for a good wrestling match, and you're being nice to this.
I don't know. My bar for Ronda Rousey truly is like dirt low. It's really low. And so she executed a lot of moves really well. So I was like, it's fine. But the thing is, like, Ronda can execute moves. Ronda can't sell, and Ronda can't tell a story. And like, you're right. You need to be able to tell a story in the ring, right? Like, that is the point of wrestling. If we didn't want to see story, we would just be watching like NCAA wrestling. Like,
we'd watch actual wrestling.
Right.
Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for the drama and the emotion and the tears and the villains, right? Like, I'm here for the story. That's why we like professional wrestling. So yeah, she can execute moves. She's literally a medalist in the Olympics. We know that she can execute moves. So the fact that I was like, well, some of the moves are okay, is stupid.
You know what it is? I think you were just feeling the goodwill of the night, and you were just like, all right.
And
man,
honestly, like as much as I dump on her, I don't like to dislike women's wrestling. Like,
right, of course.
I love women's wrestling, right? Like, again, in between the two shows, I watched like a Rise pay-per-view because I was like, I just want to watch women wrestle. I love it.
Right.
So it's hard for me to just like dunk on women's wrestling. And Charlotte tried a lot.
Charlotte did her damn best.
Charlotte did her job that night. And she did her job to the best of her ability considering the circumstances, especially because, I mean, I don't know if it's just because we heard all these rumors and so it was coloring our opinion, but like Ronda looked like she didn't want to be there.
Oh, well, then it came out this morning or late last night that was more than likely the case. That she
was really mad that they weren't actually main eventing.
Yes, Ronda felt like she needed the Stone Cold spot from WrestleMania Night 1. And she apparently walked out Friday.
This is some rumors. This is alleged.
Right. This is alleged. This is, but this comes from, normally the people who know these things in wrestling journalism. With
big quotes.
That she was unhappy with the spot. It's why she wasn't at the Hall of Fame on Friday night. And, they needed to smooth it over with her, and they smoothed it over somehow to get her back.
Do you know how they smoothed it over?
The thing that Vince loves most, money.
I was doing money fingers. This is... Yeah. Maybe someday we'll make this a video podcast, but not today.
It was money. Yeah, they gave her money, or maybe it was the ending. Maybe they changed the ending and made her feel better about it. I don't know, but if that was the thing that was going to go last, they made the right. I mean, one, she was. You're never. I'm sorry, Ronda. You're never going to be the main event spot when Austin is coming back for his quote unquote last match in Texas.
That's never going to happen.
That's you need to have self-awareness of that.
But she doesn't. That's like a big thing that Ronda doesn't have. And like, it's easy to dunk on her because she is Ronda Rousey, and also like she has said some awful things, and like that's part of the reason that I'm like not a fan of her. But she has zero self-awareness, which is why her first run in WWE, there are times when I had to like swallow my like hubris and be like, she's doing a good job.
Yep.
This makes sense. I can see why people like her. Like, she's doing a good job. This run back, she's not doing a good job at all. She's not even living up to her own standards. She looks mad to be there. She can't cut a promo. She's mad that the fans are booing her. She can't. And then she's mad that the fans are booing her. And then it shows up in her work. She's not doing a good job at her work. So then they boo her more. Like, she has no self-awareness. And I was really worried that she was going to win just because she's like a quote star or whatever. But the fact that she didn't win, to me, and maybe I'm just naive, but that tells me that even people backstage who are usually like, we don't care what the audience thinks, we do whatever we want. We're like, this woman can't actually hold a title right now. Yeah, it would be a mistake.
And I'm glad Vince and Bruce and whomever else made that call. It was the right call. Charlotte should be the champion right now of the two of them. And maybe it'd be funny to think that maybe her lack of self-awareness and her tacit disrespect of Austin is the thing that made them make that decision. It'd be hilarious if that was the thing. They're just like, you know what, man?
Well, Ronda and Charlotte also, neither of them got like big entrances. Like Becky and Bianca's match was treated like a main event. And here's the thing: if Ronda and Charlotte's match didn't exist, if Ronda wasn't there, I think Becky and Bianca would have gone in that slot. It would have tore the house down. It would have been great. And then, like, obviously the Stone Cold spot can follow that. That would still have been fine.
And that would have been an incredible 1-2 punch for the evening and for Dallas.
All we had to do with Ronda's, like, ego.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. And like you said, the match suffered.
It was move, weird break. Move, weird break. Move, weird break. Like, that was the match.
And then there was the smozzy finish where she got Charlotte to tap. The referee was knocked out, Little Nate, Charles Robinson, for those who don't know.
Everybody knows Little Nate.
You're right. And
children know Little Nate.
He's knocked out. Ronda wakes him up just in time so you can get a boot in the face from Charlotte, which I thought was hilarious. I actually cackled at that.
Yeah.
That was funny. Like, she just got kicked square in the face. And that was it. That was all she wrote. Match over. Done.
The exhale that left my body when Charlotte won, I was like, oh, God, I didn't know I was clenching so hard.
It just felt like no one wanted to be there. Charlotte didn't look happy about the match going into it. She didn't look happy when it was over. Ronda never looks happy. So there's that. The commentators did their best to, like, when Charlotte missed the moonsault and then missed her normal like moonsault redux, they sold it as, oh, that's just Ronda doing her homework. And I'm like, no, she was in the wrong spot.
Yeah. This is the opposite of Ronda doing her homework.
Right. She didn't do her homework. She didn't show up at all. That's why she missed. But that's fine. If you want to say she did her homework, yeah, cool. They tried.
All right, I'm done talking about this woman. Let us talk about the main event of WrestleMania Night 1. Stone Cold Steve Austin in a match, a no-holds-barred match against the Kevin Owens. KO Mania himself. Okay, first of all, before this was a match and it was just them talking, I will admit I can admit fault. I was like, Becky and Bianca should have main evented and this should have opened the show. If this is just going to be a talk show, like, I get it. Like, I want to see Center 2. I love Stone Cold. It was like Kane and Stone Cold. Those are my guys growing up. I get it. But, like, it is just a talk show. Like, WrestleMania should end with a match. This is a bummer. And Gina was like, you're an idiot. Shut up. He didn't say that. He was just like, what are you talking about? It's Stone Cold.
Yeah, he was just like, yo, like, no, it's
and I was Austin. Like, because me and Gino love to argue in our slat. And then KO was like, let's have a match. And then Sean was like, everybody gets what they want. And I was like, okay, what's wrong? This is fun as hell. And look, Stone Cold is old and hasn't wrestled in like 20 years. Having it be a no holds bars match was smart because they could do silly spots and be ridiculous and like whatever. He took some bumps.
He took bumps that I did not assume he was going to take.
He took like what was it, like a suplex?
Suplex on the concrete.
On the concrete, yeah, that is bananas. Or yeah, I can't. He took some big bump.
He a suplex on the concrete. He got thrown into the ring post.
Yep.
Which is another big one. KO hit him with the stand from the KO show. He took serious spots.
That was super fun. Was it the most incredible match ever? No. But the fact that they played to Stone Cold's strengths, what he was able to do, what he got cleared to do, which again, like everybody I feel like was like, holy shit, he's taking like bumps. This is crazy. Like this man almost died. Like he retired from wrestling for a reason.
Yeah.
Like that was so exciting as a fan. But also like Kevin Owens, man.
Yeah.
I am so like Kevin Owens is one of my dudes. Like he is top 5 favorite like current wrestlers for me. He's also on my short list of celebrity men that I actually trust. He is incredible. He did such a good job building this feud. We've talked about that before.
By himself.
He basically built it by himself with him and like one video package from Stone Cold. He did such a good job. And then to have this match with Stone Cold, know what Stone Cold is capable of. Obviously, like they talked about it. He sold like a motherfucker for
Did
Stone
he ever?
Cold.
Did he ever?
He made him look so good. He did just such a good job. I'm just so happy for him. Like Kevin Owens has been a wrestling fan since before he could speak English. Like he literally taught himself English by watching wrestling. That is like a known fact. And to see Kevin Owens get to wrestle like one of his
heroes yeah.
And do such a good job, and
in the main event of WrestleMania,
and then to like have probably Stone Cold's last match like ever.
Yep.
That is incredible, and I'm so happy for both of them. I'm really happy for both of them, and I'm really happy to be a wrestling fan. Like the Ronda stuff, like that really that sucked the energy out of the room, and the Book stuff was really sad. Like there were a couple moments, and getting New Day and Sheamus and the others cut was like a bummer. There were bummer moments, but between this and the Bianca Becky match, like every other moment of that show could have been a true train wreck, and it wouldn't have mattered because these 2 moments were worth it.
Yep. So there's something that I kept thinking about. Now earlier I said, and I wrote this, Becky and Bianca, 2 biggest stars in the company. And yes, I know they were in Texas, but this happens every time. Okay? Every time Austin comes back, this happens. That dude is still the biggest star in that company, bar none. It is insane to me. And I always go back and forth in my head, like, is this an indictment on WWE? Is it a testament to Austin? Is it both? Is it a little bit of both? Like, is it column A, column B, that kind of thing? And this morning, I really fell in the part of it's both. It is, yes, and it is an indictment on them, but it is also just a testament to him. And to be fair to them, I don't believe you can create another moment that creates another Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It would be real hard.
Level. It is impossible to catch that lightning in a bottle again. Not just because of who Austin is, but it's what he represented, and he captured the zeitgeist. Like the country at the time was going through a cultural shift, and Austin was a part of that cultural shift. Media at that time was moving into a different direction, and Austin was a part of that. Now, our media is more segregated, and cultural shifts are kind of like they last for like 10 minutes, and then they kind of go back to whatever else they're going to be the next 10 minutes. Whereas Austin in 1998, 1999, and 2000 was at the zenith of everything that was changing. Jerry Springer was the number 1 talk show in the world. South Park was the number 1 cartoon in the world. Everything with the Clinton administration and that whole thing with Monica
The world
Lewinsky
was the Attitude Era.
Yes,
it's not just a wrestling thing. The world was the Attitude Era.
Yeah, the world was just basically saying it was full of all these teenagers and young adults from Gen X, and us just being like, screw you all, we're going to do what we want, and 9. This is how we want to do it. Well, okay, not you, but me being a middle school kid just being like, screw you all, I'm going to do what I want, I'm going to imitate Shawn Michaels, and you can't stop me. Like, that's what the world was in like 98, 99, and Austin was at the forefront of that, and it's incredible to me that dude can go into any arena that WWE is in. Any arena. It doesn't matter whether they're in Dallas, whether they're in Spokane. And he is going to be the biggest wrestler in that arena. He's going to get Bianca got a pop. Cody got a pop. Austin his pops are just like always.
Well, he's a legend, right? Like,
but that's the thing. He's still getting them because you can. When Hogan, okay, no, we don't talk about Hogan.
Yeah, I was about to say, come on.
But when Hogan comes out,
Well, he's also destroyed his legacy. There's a lot of older guys that have destroyed their legacy.
Let's go with Rock. Let's go with Rock.
That's fair.
When Rock comes out, Rock gets a pop, yes. But it's not the same. And I love the Rock. Like, Rock is my number 2. All right. Like, it's Shawn and Rock. Like, those are my 2 guys. So this hurts me to admit this, but it's not the same. Like, when Rock comes back, and granted, he's come back more often than Austin, and well, maybe not.
No, Austin's come back a bunch.
Yeah, he's wrestled more often than Austin. Let me say that.
Yeah.
Austin's been back a lot, more than Rock, because for a minute, Rock was, not coming back, and he was doing the Hollywood thing. Blah, blah,
I
blah,
will
blah,
not come back unless I get a flamethrower.
Or unless I get to beat up the Wyatt family for a couple minutes. That's what Rock was doing. But Austin was coming back within, multiple times within these 19 years. And the pops remained the same. The decibel level remained off the charts. The arena, whether it's 5-year-olds who were not even born when he was doing this thing, whether it's 40-year-olds who remember it like it was yesterday, everybody on their feet.
The glass breaks and your body has an involuntary reaction, whether you want it or not.
Right. It's just like, it's goosebumps like every time. It's just like, yo.
Well, and to have that moment and to have all the things that you just say be true, but then to put on a really fun match.
Yes.
Because there's been a lot of instances with like nostalgia where the pop happens and then the match really like just makes you go, ooh.
Yeah.
Right?
Like our fear for Sting.
Right.
When Sting came back, I'm like, man, I don't know, man. I mean,
Sting is out there killing it every night.
And then Sting is just like, yo, you know what? Guess what? I'm jumping off tables. All right, cool, Sting, do it, bro.
But there have been moments like, I mean, we talk about Goldberg. Goldberg, like, it's one of those things where like it happens and people react, and then the match happens for the most part, and people are like, ooh, okay. But like, so for Stone Cold to have this moment, have us all be like, oh hell yeah, to quote a famous poet, and then to have like a really fun, good match.
Yes,
that was great. That was just like everybody's childhood, just like doing backflips. Like sometimes, I hate to admit it, but sometimes nostalgia is good.
I mean, sometimes when it's done well, yes, it works. And not only that, when it's done well, it doesn't just mean that it doesn't disappoint. It means that it informs something of the present, and it finishes something from the past.
Right.
Very much like Spider-Man No Way Home did that really well. Of how do we serve this current story we're telling while also wrapping up loose ends? So Austin being like, hey, my first match was in Dallas. My last match is going to be in Dallas. Mm-hmm. That's great.
And I get to go out. I get to go out on my terms instead of just like my body says no.
Yes, like that's great. That's great for him.
And also like
go ahead.
You go ahead.
Well, for it to be with KO.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah, like for it to be with KO, who is an Austin fanatic,
and also like that. People, regardless of the fact that there are people who lose and like it hurts their careers when they get beat up by like the nostalgia factor, like the FTR DX thing, like that hurt their carear. And then there are losses that are wins. This is a loss that's a win.
This is nothing but a rub for him.
Yeah,
like he was in the main event of the biggest WrestleMania so far.
And he's going to spin that. He's going to be like, yeah, sure, whatever. I technically lost, but like, did you main event WrestleMania? No, exactly. You didn't. I'm Kevin Owens. Welcome to the KO show.
Exactly. Like, and he got beat up, but there's never any, there's no disgrace in losing to Austin at this point. There was never any disgrace losing to Austin, period. But losing to Austin right now, like the mainstream notoriety Kevin's going to get from this, like, is insane. Like it's a win for everyone. And then he got escorted out by the cops.
They said, we're shipping you back to Canada.
Right. Like it's perfect. Like it was all perfect. And it was the great way to end the night. It was, like you said, if nothing else, that moment, Bianca and Becky easily make night one a success.
Right. Absolutely.
Easily.
Night two, frankly, has a lot to live up to.
It really, 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 really does. And the fact that it has more matches makes me a little,
I don't know. I think Bobby Lashley and Omos are really going to steal the show.
I mean,
don't get me wrong. I love Bobby Lashley, but like, this is a stupid match that shouldn't be happening.
If there are two people who can live up to the Austin and Owens hype, it is Bobby and Omos. There were actually people in the comment section who were at the arena when Bobby came out to confront Omos, and they were telling me like, "Oh man, well, you're wrong. The crowd loved it." I'm like, Okay, I'm cool that they loved it. That doesn't mean it's going to be a dope
I'm cool
match.
to keep an open mind because I love Bobby Lashley and I would like it to be good because he rules.
I love Bobby Lashley. I'm not doing the rest of the things that you said, but yes, I love Bobby Lashley.
All right. We talked for a really long time because we had some big feels.
Mm-hmm.
I might not even edit this. I might just throw it up. I don't think we said anything offensive. So yeah,
No,
usually I cut
time.
out like a lot of really rough stuff. Just kidding. We're great people.
Like that time when I talked about the Hitler Museum. Yeah.
Well, now I feel like I have to cut that out, Marcus. Oh my God. Anyways, this is not Control Your Narrative. This is Cageside Seats, the podcast.
And we will see you. I mean, look, there's no customary outro now.
You're going to
hear us again in a couple days.
Yeah.
We're going to recap night 2 and the Raw after WrestleMania. So stay tuned to your inboxes, and we're going to be coming at you soon. Yeah.
That's not how this works, Marcus.
Whatever you kids do with your podcast.
All right. Yeah, we don't have an outro. See you later, nerds. Right. Nope. What's the outro? Until next time, Cagesiders.
Trust me, the tapes are definitely rolling, and we're all on coffee right now. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Also, go to CagesideSeats.com to follow all of our live blogs and our coverage, and follow us on Twitter at CagesideSeats on Twitter and Instagram.
And don't forget to email the show because, we're going to have the...
Oh, I didn't even check that. You know what? We'll just throw it in. I'll save it.
Don't forget to email the show because, WrestleMania is going to be over by the time by the time this, night 1's going to be over.
Yeah. CagesideSocials@gmail.com. The coffee chaos in the morning.
Right.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Peace.